The sun hangs low over the Icelandic settlement, casting long amber shadows across the turf-roofed longhouses that nestle into the hillside like ancient beings at rest. Twilight arrives slowly here, painting the sky in layers of dusty rose and deepening blue, and with it comes the gentle rhythm of evening preparations. Smoke rises from the center of the longhouse, a thin thread against the darkening heavens, carrying with it the scent of birch wood and peat. One by one, figures emerge from the scattered farmsteads, moving with unhurried purpose along well-worn paths toward the largest dwelling at the heart of the settlement. Children walk beside their parents, their voices carrying soft and clear through the crisp air, while the elderly move more slowly, leaning on staffs of polished wood. The day's work is complete. Sheep have been counted and penned, tools have been cleaned and stored, and now the community gathers as it has for generations, drawn by the promise of warmth, companionship, and story. The heavy wooden door of the longhouse stands open in welcome, golden firelight spilling across the threshold like an invitation. Inside, shadows dance along the curved walls, and the air is thick with anticipation. Tonight, as darkness claims the land outside, the eldest skald will speak, and the ancient sagas will live once more in the minds and hearts of those who listen. This is the hour when the outside world grows quiet, when the boundary between present and past becomes thin as smoke, and when the soul finds rest in ritual and remembrance. As you step across the threshold, the warmth embraces you like a gentle hand upon your shoulder. The longhouse stretches before you, its length disappearing into comfortable shadows, the high-peaked roof supported by massive timbers that smell faintly of tar and thyme. The earthen floor is packed hard and smooth from countless footsteps, covered here and there with woven mats and sheepskins that soften each step. Along both walls, wooden benches have been arranged with care, some covered with folded blankets and cushions stuffed with eider down. The central fire pit dominates the space, a long rectangle lined with stones blackened by years of flame, and tonight the fire burns strong and steady, its light reflecting off faces both young and old. An elderly woman tends the flames with practiced movements, adjusting logs with an iron poker, ensuring the heat spreads evenly through the space. Near her, a younger woman arranges drinking horns on a trestle table, checking that each household's place is ready. Children settle onto the benches with barely contained excitement, their eyes bright in the firelight, while their parents find their customary spots with the ease of long habit. The men remove their outer cloaks, hanging them on pegs driven into the wall posts, revealing tunics of undyed wool and linen in shades of cream and natural brown. The women's dresses are simple but beautiful, some dyed with lichens to create soft golds and dusty blues, fastened with bronze brooches that catch the light. Gradually, the movement stills. The last arrivals find their places, doors are closed against the gathering night, and a hush falls over the assembled community. In this moment of waiting, you can hear the small sounds that make up the peace of the longhouse. The settling of logs in the fire, the creak of a bench, a child's whispered question quickly answered, the wind beginning to murmur around the turf walls outside. At the far end of the longhouse, in the place of honor nearest the high seat, an old man rises slowly to his feet. This is the skald, the keeper of memory, the voice of generations past. His hair and beard are silver as frost, bound with leather thongs, and his face is deeply lined with the map of a long life lived between sea and stone. He wears a cloak of deep blue wool, fastened at the shoulder with a silver brooch, worked in intricate patterns that seem to shift in the firelight. For a long moment, he simply stands, his gaze moving slowly across the gathered faces, acknowledging each person with the quiet authority of his years in office. There is no hurry here, no rush to begin. The skald knows that story, like sleep, cannot be forced, but must arrive in its own time. He closes his eyes briefly, his lips moving silently as if calling to memory all the words that have been entrusted to him. When he opens his eyes again, they reflect the firelight like deep wells of amber. His voice, when it comes, is not loud, but it fills every corner of the space with its resonance, a voice smoothed by countless tellings, rich as aged mead, gentle as distant thunder over the mountains. He begins not with the saga itself, but with the greeting, the old words that connect this night to all the nights that came before. that remind everyone present of their place in the great unbroken chain of storytelling. The children lean forward slightly, their faces rapt with attention. The adults settle more deeply into their seats, shoulders relaxing, the tensions of the day beginning to release their hold. Outside, true darkness has fallen now, but inside the longhouse, time takes on a different quality, becoming fluid and vast, stretching backward through the years to touch the age of settlement, the age of heroes, the age when the world was young, and every voyage was a journey into mystery. The skald's words flow like water over smooth stones, each syllable carefully placed, each pause a space for breath and reflection. He speaks of the longhouse itself, of the hands that cut the turf and raised the timbers, of the first fire lit in this very pit, of the families that have gathered here season after season, year after year. His words create a circle of connection, drawing everyone present into the embrace of shared history and common belonging. You feel yourself sinking deeper into the comfort of the moment, your body heavy and warm, your mind beginning to drift along the current of his voice. The fire pops softly, sending a small shower of sparks upward toward the smoke hole where they disappear into the darkness beyond. The heat from the flames creates a cocoon of warmth that makes the winter night outside seem distant and harmless, as if the longhouse exists in a world of its own making, protected by thick walls and the presence of community. A young child nestles against her mother's side, thumb finding its way to her mouth, eyelids growing heavy. An old man's chin drops slowly toward his chest, then rises again as he catches himself, determined not to miss a single word. But there is no judgment here, no expectation, except the simple pleasure of being together in this place, at this hour, for this purpose. The skald continues, his voice rising and falling in gentle waves, and now he begins to turn toward the saga proper, the story that will carry you through the evening hours. But even as the tale begins to take shape, there is no urgency, no dramatic rush. Everything unfolds at the pace of smoke rising, of embers glowing, of sleep approaching on soft and silent feet. The benches creak slightly as bodies shift to find even greater comfort. Someone adds another log to the fire with careful quiet, and the flames accept it gratefully, wrapping around the new wood with tongues of gold and amber. The world has contracted to just this space, these people, this voice, this warmth. And now the skald's voice carries you further still, into the beginning of the saga itself, the story of how the first settlers came to this land of ice and fire, seeking something they could barely name, freedom perhaps, or simply space to live according to the old ways and the old laws. His words paint pictures in the mind, sturdy ships with square sails, their hulls packed with everything needed to begin life anew, families saying farewell to the shores of Norway, not knowing if they would find welcome or only wilderness beyond the horizon. But these images arrive gently, without urgency, like memories surfacing in the moments between waking and sleep. The fire has settled into a steady glow now, the flames lower, but no less warm, and the light it casts seems softer, more golden, as if the evening itself is growing drowsy. You notice the small comforts around you, the solid presence of the bench beneath you, the weight of wool on your shoulders, the warmth of the person sitting beside you, breathing slowly and deeply. The skald's voice weaves through your thoughts like a thread through cloth, connecting word to word, image to image, breath to breath. Outside, the wind has picked up slightly, and you can hear it moving around the longhouse, not threatening, but almost conversational, as if the land itself is settling down for the night, finding its own rest. The saga continues, but you find you are not holding on to every word now, simply allowing the sound of the telling to wash over you, to carry you gently forward through the evening. There is no need to remember, no test at the end, only the ancient comfort of stories shared by firelight, of voices speaking across time, of knowing that when you wake tomorrow, the world will still be here, familiar and enduring. The longhouse holds you in its embrace, the community surrounds you with its presence, and the skald's voice becomes indistinguishable from your own breathing, from the pulse of your own heart, from the slow, inevitable drift towards sleep and dreams. The skald's weathered hands rest upon his knees, and in the pause between one breath and the next, the story begins. His voice carries the weight of memory, of tales passed down through generations, each telling worn smooth like driftwood, polished by endless waves. "Listen now," he says, and the words seem to come not just from him, but from the very walls of the longhouse, from the smoke-darkened beams above, from the earth itself. Listen to the saga of those who came before, who crossed the whale road seeking something more than silver, more than fame. They sought land, they sought freedom, they sought a place where a family could stand beneath open sky and call the ground their own. The fire crackles in agreement, sending sparks spiraling upward into the shadows. You settle deeper into your place on the bench, the warmth of the person beside you a gentle presence, the wool of your cloak soft against your cheek. The skald's voice finds its rhythm now, rising and falling like the sea itself, and you feel yourself beginning to drift with it, carried on currents of story and smoke. In the days when Norway's fjords grew crowded with the ambitions of petty kings, he continues, when a man's land could be taken by those with more swords, more silver, more ruthlessness, there were families who looked westward across the gray ocean and wondered what lay beyond the horizon. Outside, the wind moves around the longhouse, but here within these turf walls, you are held safe. The story wraps around you like a blanket, each word a stitch in the fabric of the telling. You can almost see them now, those first families, standing on Norwegian shores, their faces turned toward the setting sun, toward the unknown waters that separated the known world from legend and possibility. Ingolfr Arnarsson was among the first, the skald says, and the name hangs in the air, solid and real. With his brother-in-law, Jorleif, he set sail in a longship laden with livestock, tools, timber, and hope. The ocean stretched before them, endless and indifferent, its swells lifting their vessel like a toy in the hands of giants. You can hear it in his voice, the immensity of that journey, the courage, or perhaps the desperation required to leave everything familiar behind and trust yourself to the mercy of wind and wave. The fire pops softly, and someone shifts on a nearby bench, but these sounds only deepen the spell of the story. They are part of it, woven into the tapestry of this moment, this gathering, this ancient ritual of sharing tales when darkness claims the world outside. The skald's voice grows softer now, more intimate, as if he shares a secret meant only for this circle of listeners. The crossing took many days, he says, days when the sun circled low on the horizon, never quite setting, painting the waves in shades of copper and pearl. Days when fog rolled in thick as fleece, muffling all sound until the men aboard could hear only the creak of their own ship and the breath of their companions and the endless, patient murmur of the sea beneath them. You can feel the motion of it, the rise and fall, the way the world becomes nothing but water and sky, the way time stretches and contracts until you cannot remember the feeling of solid ground beneath your feet. The warmth of the fire reaches you in waves, like the ocean's swells of the story, and your body grows heavier, more relaxed, anchored to this bench, this moment, this safe and solid place. They brought with them everything they would need to begin again, the skald continues. Cattle lowing in makeshift pens on the deck, sheep huddled together against the spray, chickens in woven baskets, seeds wrapped in oiled cloth, iron tools that represented months of a blacksmith's labor. And they brought their stories, their gods, their ways of doing things. They brought themselves, everything they were, everything they hoped to become. The fire settles with a gentle sigh, coals rearranging themselves in their bed of ash, and the glow seems to deepen, becoming more amber, more golden, like the light of a sun that never sets. And then, after days that blurred into one another until counting seemed meaningless, they saw it. A smudge on the horizon that held steady, that grew as they approached, that resolved itself into mountains capped with ice, into cliffs where seabirds wheeled and cried their harsh welcome, into a coastline unlike anything they had seen before. The skald pauses, letting the moment expand, letting you see it through those ancient eyes, the first glimpse of the land that would become home, that would become the foundation of new generations, new stories, new lives carved from stone and soil and determination. Ingolfr threw his high seat pillars overboard, the skald says, and there is satisfaction in his voice, the satisfaction of a detail that has pleased countless listeners before you. Sacred pillars carved with his family's marks, tossed into the waves with a prayer to the gods to guide them to the right place, the place where he should build his hall, his home, the seat of his new life. And he vowed to settle wherever the pillars came ashore. You feel yourself drifting with those pillars, bobbing in the cold northern waters, trusting to fate and tide and the will of powers greater than human ambition. The skald's voice finds an even gentler rhythm now, each word chosen with care, placed with precision, like stones in the foundation of a house that must stand for generations. For 3 winters, Ingolfr's pillars drifted on the currents, he says. 3 winters, while he and his people made temporary camps, explored the coastline, learned the temper of this new land. They found valleys where grass grew thick and green despite the short summers. They found hot springs that steamed even in the coldest months, water that could warm a weary body or cook a meal. They found rivers thick with salmon, seals basking on black sand beaches, birds nesting in cliffs so numerous their cries became the sound of the shore itself. Each image settles in your mind like a gift, something to turn over and examine in the space between waking and sleep. The longhouse holds you gently, the smoke from the fire rising in lazy spirals, the shadows on the walls swaying in the dance of the flames. And in the 3rd year, the skald continues, Ingolfr's slaves found the pillars washed up in a bay, in a place where a small river met the sea, where steam rose from the ground and the harbor provided shelter from the worst of the storms. Ingolfr named this place Reykjavik, the Bay of Smokes, for the steam that drifted above the hot springs like the smoke of countless invisible fires. The name itself sounds like steam rising, like breath in cold air, like the exhalation of the earth itself. You repeat it silently in your mind, feeling the shape of it, the rightness of it. And there he built his hall, the skald says, and his voice carries the satisfaction of completion, of promises kept, of journeys ended and new journeys begun. He cut turf from the hillside, thick blocks of earth held together by the roots of grass and heather, insulation against the long dark winters. He set beams of driftwood, timber carried across the ocean by currents from distant forests, precious wood in a land of lava and stone. He built a longhouse like this one, a place where fire could burn and families could gather and stories could be told when darkness claimed the world outside. The parallel is not lost on you, this echo across centuries, the same needs, the same solutions, the same human hunger for shelter and warmth and connection. You are part of an unbroken chain, sitting here in this longhouse that stands as testament to those first builders, those first dreamers who looked at emptiness and saw possibility. The fire crackles its agreement, and somewhere in the longhouse, someone's breathing has already deepened into sleep, a gentle counterpoint to the skald's voice. The skald shifts slightly, a movement so small you barely register it, but it signals a deepening of the story, a turning inward. Others came, he says, his voice like wool, like fleece, soft and warm. Once word reached Norway that land could be claimed here, that a man could build his farm without answering to any jarl or king. They came in their dozens, their scores, their hundreds. They came from Norway and the Scottish Isles and wherever Vikings had settled and found themselves restless again. They came with their families, their livestock, their stories and songs and feuds and friendships. The fire has burned down to a bed of coals now, glowing with deep inner light, requiring no tending, sustaining itself on its own heat, its own gradual consumption. The light it casts is softer, kinder, more forgiving of the lines that time and weather etch into every face. They explored the coastline, sailing into fjords that cut deep into the mountains, narrow passages where waterfalls tumbled from heights so great they became mist before reaching the sea, the skald continues. They followed rivers inland to valleys sheltered from the worst winds, places where grass grew and sheep could graze, and a family could carve out a life from the unyielding stone and soil. They claimed land by walking its boundaries with fire, carrying a flame from sunrise to sunset to mark the extent of what they could rightly hold. You can almost feel the tiredness in those legs, the satisfaction of those steps, each one a claiming, each one a promise, a commitment to this place, this particular fold in the mountains, this specific curve of shoreline. The rhythm of walking, of breathing, of the skald's voice all blend together into something deeper than words, something felt in the body, in the bones, in the ancient parts of the mind that remember when all knowledge came through story, through voice, through the gathered community around the fire. They built their farms with patience and labor, and the kind of stubborn hope that refuses to acknowledge how hard the work will be, the skald says, and there is fondness in his voice. Affection for these ancestors who were foolish enough or brave enough to make homes in this harsh and beautiful land. They stacked stones into walls and broke ground for fields and learned which plants would grow and which would wither. Learned the names of the mountains and streams. Learned where the fish ran thick and where the grazing was best. Each detail is a meditation, a prayer of attention, a way of honoring the ordinary work that makes life possible. You feel gratitude washing through you, warm and gentle as the firelight. Gratitude for those who came before, who made this moment possible, who built the longhouse that shelters you now. The skald's voice has become part of the fabric of the evening now, inseparable from the warmth of the fire and the solidity of the bench beneath you, and the drowsy comfort of the gathered community. And so they made lives here, he says, each word arriving with the patience of waves on a shore, regular and inexorable and soothing. They married and raised children who knew no other home than these volcanic valleys and black sand beaches. They held assemblies where disputes could be settled with words rather than swords, where laws could be spoken and remembered and passed down. They found ways to survive the dark winters when night stretched from one horizon to the other, when the only light came from fires like this one, when stories like these were the only entertainment, the only connection, the only reminder that spring would come again. The rhythm of his words is hypnotic, each phrase building on the last, creating a structure of sound and meaning that holds you suspended between waking and dreaming. The fire's glow seems to pulse in time with your heartbeat, or perhaps your heartbeat has slowed to match the fire's ancient rhythm. They learned this land, the skald continues, his voice growing even softer, learned its moods and seasons, learned where the ice could be trusted and where it would betray you, learned the sound of the wind that means snow is coming, learned which berries could be eaten and which must be left for the birds. They became part of this place, and this place became part of them, until you could no more separate a family from their valley than you could separate the stone from the mountain or the water from the sea. Someone near the back of the longhouse is definitely sleeping now, a soft snore barely audible beneath the skald's voice. And the sound is comforting rather than disruptive, a reminder that sleep is not only permitted but welcomed, encouraged, the natural end of the evening's gathering. And when they grew old, the skald says, his voice now barely above a whisper, they passed their farms to their children, and the story continued, generation following generation like waves on a shore, each one different, each one the same, each one part of the great saga that is still being told, still being lived, here in this longhouse, on this night, with you among the listeners, part of the unbroken chain that stretches from those first brave souls who crossed the whale road to this moment, this breath, this gentle drift toward rest and sleep and dreams. The fire glows like a memory now, steady and low and endlessly patient, and the skald's voice fades into it, becomes one with it, until you cannot tell where the story ends and the firelight begins, where the longhouse walls stop and your own body starts, where waking dissolves into the first soft tendrils of sleep. And from that place of warmth and settling, the skald's voice rises again, softer now, like a wind that has traveled far across open water. The story shifts, turns its face toward the horizon, toward those who could not be content with the valleys they had claimed, toward the restless ones who looked westward from Iceland's cliffs and wondered what lay beyond the edge of the known world. The fire burns lower now, its flames no longer leaping but glowing, a bed of embers that pulses gently with each breath of air. The light it casts is softer, amber and rust, painting the faces of the listeners in shades of dreams. And the skald speaks of Eric the Red, of his exile and his vision, of how he turned his ship toward the empty ocean and sailed for days through fog and silence, searching for land that might not exist. The longhouse seems to expand around you, its walls receding into shadow, until you are no longer in a room but on a deck, feeling the slow rise and fall of waves beneath you, hearing the creak of timber and the snap of wool sails catching wind. The skald's words come slowly, each one placed with care, like stepping stones across a cold stream. Eric sailed west and west and west again, following the flight of birds and the color of the water, trusting in signs that only sailors know. Days passed, one into another, until time itself became a kind of rhythm, no longer measured in hours, but in the slow arc of the sun, the wheel of stars at night, the endless conversation between sea and sky. And then, one morning in the pale northern dawn, a shape emerged from the mist, cliffs of stone and ice, fjords cutting deep into the land like the roots of mountains. Greenland, he would call it, though much of it was white and gray. But there was green too in the sheltered valleys, grass enough for sheep, water cold and clear. He built his farmstead there at Bratalith, and others followed, seeking new beginnings at the edge of the world. The skald's voice is a thread now, winding through the dimness of the longhouse, and you follow it without effort, without thought, your breathing synchronized to the rhythm of the tale, your heartbeat slow and steady as the tide. The fire shifts and settles, a log crumbling into glowing fragments, and the warmth spreads outward in slow waves. The skald continues, voice like water over smooth stones, telling now of Leif, Eric's son, who inherited his father's curiosity and his courage. Leif heard tales from traders and travelers, whispers of lands even farther west, forests so vast they stretched beyond imagining, grapes growing wild on vines, timber tall and straight. And so he prepared his ship, chose his crew, and set sail from Greenland into the unknown, guided by stories and stars and the pull of something nameless. The journey was long, longer than the voyage to Greenland, longer than memory. The ocean was a living thing, sometimes kind, sometimes cold, always immense. Days blurred together in a procession of gray waves and gray sky, until there was nothing but the ship and the men and the endless water. They ate dried fish and drank rainwater collected in barrels. They sang to keep their spirits up, and when they grew tired of singing, they fell silent and listened to the sea. At night, the stars wheeled overhead in patterns both familiar and strange, constellations shifting as they sailed farther south and west. The skald's words are gentle now, almost a murmur, blending with the soft sounds of the longhouse, the breathing of listeners, the faint crackle of embers, the distant whisper of wind against turf walls. And then after weeks at sea, the water changed color, from deep blue to green-gray, and birds appeared, circling and calling, land birds. And on the horizon a dark line resolved itself into coast, rocky shores, forests rising thick and green, rivers flowing to the sea. They called it Vinland, this place of plenty, this shore at the world's edge. They built shelters and explored, walked through woods where no Norse footstep had ever fallen, tasted berries and marveled at the size of the salmon in the streams. It was a place of peace and strangeness, beautiful and far from home. The skald pauses, and in that pause you can almost hear the forest, the rustle of leaves, the call of unfamiliar birds, the whisper of waves on a distant beach. Your eyes are heavy now, weighted with warmth and story, and the longhouse around you feels like a ship itself, floating gently on a sea of darkness, carrying you toward shores you cannot see, but somehow know are there, safe and green and waiting. The skald's voice grows softer still, almost a part of the firelight itself now, as the story drifts back across the ocean, retracing the long journey home. The explorers could not stay forever in Vinland, no matter how rich the land. They were tied to Iceland and Greenland by bonds of family and memory, by the farms they had left behind, by the voices of those waiting for their return, and so they loaded their ship with timber and treasures, wild grapes and furs, stories of what they had seen, and turned the prow eastward, back toward the known world. The voyage home is always different from the voyage out. The ocean is the same, but the travelers are changed, carrying within them the weight of distance, the knowledge of how vast the world truly is, how full of wonders and silence and empty horizons. The skald describes the homecoming, the sight of familiar cliffs emerging from morning mist, the recognition of landmarks, the quickening of hearts as the ship drew near to shore. And then the reunions, the telling and retelling of tales, the way the story of Vinland became part of the longhouse tradition, something to be spoken of on winter nights when the fire burned low and the world outside was dark and cold. You listen, but you are also drifting, your awareness suspended between the words and the warmth, between the longhouse and the ship, between waking and the first soft edges of sleep. The Skald speaks of other journeys too, smaller ones, quieter ones, coastal voyages to trade and visit, trips to summer pastures in the highlands, the daily journey from door to fieldstone wall and back again. Each journey, whether across oceans or across valleys, is part of the same story, the story of movement and return, of venturing out and coming home, of the courage it takes to leave and the comfort of arrival. The fire is very low now, barely more than a glow, and the shadows in the longhouse are deep and soft, like the hollows of dreams. The Skald's voice threads through them, unhurried, infinitely patient, weaving together sea and land, journey and rest, exploration and homecoming, until they are all one thing, all part of the same endless rhythm that rocks you gently, gently, like a ship on a calm sea, like a cradle, like the slow breath of the earth itself. And you let go a little more, releasing your grip on wakefulness, allowing the story to carry you wherever it will, trusting in its gentle current, in the voice that guides you, in the warmth that surrounds you and holds you safe. The stories soften now, becoming less about destinations and more about the journey itself, about the feeling of being at sea under stars, about the particular quality of light on northern waters, about the silence that exists between waves. The Skald's voice is a whisper woven through with sleep, describing the view from the prow of a ship at midnight in summer, when the sun never fully sets but hovers at the horizon, painting the world in shades of silver and rose and pale gold. There is no need to hurry, no need to arrive. The voyage itself is enough, the gentle motion, the vastness of sky and water, the companionship of those who sail with you, their presence a comfort even in silence. The Skald speaks of navigators who read the waves by touch, who knew the ocean's moods by the taste of spray, who steered by stars and sunstones and the flight of ravens. These men carried maps in their minds, passed down through generations, songs that encoded distances and dangers, verses that held the shape of coastlines and the location of hidden harbors. Knowledge earned through centuries of voyaging, of watching and listening and remembering. And now that knowledge is a lullaby, a soft recitation of names and directions, of landmarks and stars, of how to find your way in darkness, how to trust the wind and the current, how to read the signs that lead you home. The fire is almost gone now, just a bed of coals that glow like distant suns, and the heat is gentle, soaking into your bones, making you heavy and warm and deeply, deeply relaxed. The Skald's words come slower, with longer pauses between them, spaces filled with the quiet breathing of the longhouse, with the sense of many people drifting together into rest, a collective surrender to sleep. You are no longer trying to follow the story's details, no longer holding on to meaning. The words wash over you like waves, like the lap of water against a hull, rhythmic and endless and soothing beyond measure. You are at sea and at home, journeying and arrived, awake and asleep all at once. The boundaries dissolve, the Skald's voice dissolves, the longhouse dissolves, and what remains is only warmth and darkness and the gentle rocking motion that carries you deeper, deeper to peace. And now the Skald speaks hardly at all, the voice barely distinguishable from the settling of embers, from the soft exhalation of the longhouse itself as it breathes with those sheltered within its walls. The stories have become fragments, images without beginning or end, a sail against stars, a hand on a steering oar, the curve of a wave catching light, the distant smudge of land that might be cloud, might be dream, might be the first glimpse of something new, or the last sight of something beloved. Each image drifts past slowly, lingers, fades into the next, and you make no effort to hold on to them. They are simply there, like memories, like the afterglow of firelight on closed eyelids, like the feeling of being rocked in gentle arms. The explorers sailed and returned, and their stories became part of the fabric of home, woven into winter nights and the voices of Skalds, into the collective memory of what it means to be brave enough to seek and wise enough to come back. And you are part of that story now, part of the listening and the drifting, part of the warmth and the darkness and the slow descent into sleep. The longhouse holds you, the story holds you. The fire, though it has burned down to almost nothing, still holds you in its fading glow. And the skald's voice, now just a murmur, a breath, a suggestion of sound, guides you gently to the edge of waking and lets you go, releases you into the soft dark where there are no more words, no more journeys, no more shores to seek, only the deep and perfect rest of arrival, of being home, of letting go completely and sinking into the quiet that has been waiting for you all along, welcoming and warm and utterly, utterly safe. And in that deep stillness, in that place of perfect arrival, the skald's voice returns, softer now, like a thread of smoke curling upward from embers that glow without flame. The fire has burned down to its heart, and the longhouse holds its warmth like a gentle hand cupping water, precious and calm. The night has deepened outside, and within these turf walls the stories begin to change, to soften, to weave together the grand and the small, the heroic and the humble, until they become one cloth, one continuous thread of living and being. The skald speaks now of Gunnar, a farmer of the western valleys, whose strength was legendary, but whose days were spent in quiet toil, mending fences on hillsides where the wind carried the smell of heather, guiding sheep through mountain passes as clouds moved like slow ships overhead, carrying hay in great bundles that caught the golden light of autumn afternoons. His sword hung above the door, rarely touched, while his hands knew the texture of wool and wood, the weight of a scythe, the careful patience required to coax barley from thin soil. And there was Hallgerd, whose beauty was sung in verses, but who rose each morning to tend the fire, to card wool beside her daughters, to preserve fish and berries for the long winter, her fingers skilled and steady, her laughter warm when the work was done. These are the heroes now, the skald whispers, the ones who lived well and quietly, who faced each season as it came, who knew that courage is also found in rising before dawn, in tending what you love, in staying when staying is hard. The listeners breathed slowly, deeply, their bodies settled into the benches, their faces touched by the amber glow, and the stories wash over them like water over smooth stones, wearing away the edges of waking thought, leaving only smooth warmth, only the gentle rhythm of lives well lived, only the soft repetition of days that mattered because they were lived with care. The skald's voice continues, a gentle current carrying fragments of memory and dream, and now the stories turn to the rhythm of seasons, the way they arrived and departed like old friends who need no announcement. Spring came to Iceland with the returning light, with streams running full and cold from melting snow, with the first green pushing through dark earth, tender and brave. Farmers led their animals back to higher pastures, and children ran along the paths, their laughter bright as birdsong, their feet knowing every stone and root. Summer stretched long and luminous, the sun circling the sky without fully setting, and the work was endless but good. Cutting hay in fields that smelled of warmth and growth, drying fish on wooden racks by the shore where gulls called and the sea whispered its constant song, gathering cloudberries from the hillsides, their tartness bursting on the tongue like tiny suns. Autumn brought the harvest home, the gathering in, the careful preparation for the dark months ahead. Barley was threshed and stored, sheep were brought down from the mountains, their wool thick and ready, and the longhouse filled with the work of many hands, carding, spinning, weaving, mending. The light grew golden and then amber, slanting low through doorways, painting everything it touched with the color of honey and ending days. And winter, when it came, was not an enemy, but a teacher, a time of turning inward, of firelight and story, of rest earned and gratefully taken. The skald's voice grows softer still, and the words begin to repeat themselves gently, like waves on a shore, like breath in sleep. The seasons turning, the seasons returning, spring to summer to autumn to winter and back again, the wheel always turning, always bringing you home, always reminding you that everything comes round again, that rest follows work, that light follows dark, that the fire always waits for you at the end of the day. And now, the skald speaks even more softly, the words barely rising above the whisper of the fire, and the stories become like dreams you've had before, familiar and comforting, their edges blurred and gentle. There is a tale of children playing by a stream, their voices high and clear, building small dams of stone and watching the water find new paths. their hands cold and their cheeks flushed. Time measured not in hours, but in the angle of the light, in the feeling of being completely present, completely absorbed in the simplest things. There is the memory of bread baking, the smell filling the longhouse like a benediction, the crust golden and cracking, the interior soft and warm, torn and shared among grateful hands. There is the sight of a grandmother carding wool by the fire, her movements practiced and smooth, the rhythm of her hands like a lullaby, the wool transforming from tangled fleece to soft cloud, ready to become warmth, ready to become clothing that will hold a body through the cold, a simple magic performed daily and without fanfare. The skald tells of a man sitting at his doorway as evening comes, smoking a pipe, watching the sky change colors, thinking of nothing in particular and everything at once. His father who taught him to build, his children who will remember him, the land that holds them all, the continuity that runs through everything like water underground, always there, always nourishing, even when unseen. These are not grand stories, the skald whispers, but they are the ones that matter, the ones that fill a life, the ones that become, when you are old, the treasures you hold in your heart, not the battles or the voyages, but the quiet afternoons, the small kindnesses, the ordinary moments that were, without you even knowing it at the time, everything. And the listeners, deep in their drowsiness, understand this completely, feel it in their bones, in their slowing breath, in the way their bodies have melted into rest, held by the warmth and the dark and the endless, gentle repetition of what it means to be alive, to be here, to be home. The skald's voice is barely audible now, a murmur that blends with the settling of the fire, with the soft breathing all around, with the wind outside that no longer sounds cold but companionable, a presence keeping watch while the household rests. The words come slowly, with long pauses between them, and they speak of the hearth, always the hearth, the center of everything, the place where fire lives and gives itself endlessly, asking nothing in return. The hearthstones warm and smooth, holding heat long after the flames subside, radiating comfort through the dark hours. The way people gather there, not needing to speak, simply being together, sharing the warmth and the silence, and the deep animal comfort of shelter and safety. The skald speaks of returning, always returning, the shepherd coming down from the hills as twilight gathers, seeing the smoke from his own roof rising into the sky, knowing that inside there is food and rest and welcome. The traveler cresting the ridge and seeing the valley where he was born, every stone familiar, every path known, his heart settling even before his feet carry him to the door. The child running home after playing, arms full of wildflowers or interesting stones, bursting through the door with treasures to share, finding mother at the loom or father mending harness, finding that everything is exactly as it should be, exactly as it was, exactly as it will be. Home, the skald whispers again and again, the word becoming a rhythm, a heartbeat, a spell that holds and comforts. Home in the longhouse, home in the valley, home in yourself, home in this moment, home in your breathing, home in the dark, home in the warmth, home in the letting go, home in the sweet descent into sleep where you have always belonged, where you are always safe, where you are always, always welcomed back. The fire glows without flame now, just the deep red heart of coals, pulsing gently like something alive, like something that will watch over you through all the dark hours until light returns, faithful and patient and eternally warm. And there is almost nothing left to say now, almost no words remaining, only the feeling of words, only the echo of voice, only the memory of stories that have all dissolved into one story, the oldest story, the only story, of shelter and warmth, of darkness held at bay, of rest after the day's work, of sleep coming like a tide, inevitable and welcome, lifting you gently and carrying you into the deep waters of dream, where there is no need to steer or struggle, where you simply float, held by something larger than yourself, something ancient and good. The skald's voice is gone now, or perhaps it has become the wind, or the breathing of those around you, or your own heartbeat, slow and steady, requiring nothing, simply continuing its faithful rhythm, the rhythm that has carried you through every moment of your life and will carry you through all the moments to come. The fire is barely visible, just the faintest glow, like a distant star, like a memory of warmth that is itself enough to warm you. And you are one of many, lying in the longhouse, held by turf and timber, part of a household, part of a valley, part of an island, part of the great wheel of seasons and stories and lives that have always been turning, that will always turn, that hold you now as you have always been held, even when you did not know it. The darkness is complete and soft, like wool, like water, like the inside of sleep itself, and you are sinking deeper, or perhaps you have already arrived. Perhaps there is no difference anymore between sinking and arriving, between story and silence, between the fire and the warmth it gives, between you and the peace that surrounds you, holds you, becomes you. Nothing to do now, nothing to seek or solve or remember. Only this softness, this safety, this endless, gentle dark where you are home, completely home, held in the heart of rest, in the center of the night, in the oldest sanctuary of all, the deep and dreamless quiet where the body releases, the mind releases, and everything finally, mercifully, tenderly comes to rest. And so the stories fold into themselves, becoming softer, becoming simpler, like light dissolving into shadow, like the last embers settling into ash. The skald's voice is barely there now, a whisper among whispers, speaking of things you already know, things written in your bones, the warmth of the longhouse, the safety of thick turf walls, the weight of woven blankets on sleeping bodies. Outside, the wind continues its ancient conversation with the land, moving through valleys you cannot see, brushing over hills wrapped in darkness, carrying the scent of distant snow and cold ocean far beyond the fjords. But here, within these walls, there is only warmth, only peace. The fire has become a memory of fire, glowing coals nestled in their bed of ash, breathing their gentle heat into the room without flame, without flicker, just a steady amber presence that asks nothing, demands nothing, simply continues its quiet work of keeping the darkness soft and kind. You can hear the breathing now, the slow, deep breathing of those already dreaming, the children curled against their mothers, the shepherds resting after long days on the hillsides, the weavers and fishermen and farmers all released into sleep's gentle custody. And the skald speaks of this, of breathing and rest, of the way the body knows when the day is done, the way it surrenders so willingly when safety surrounds it, like these walls, like this darkness, like the presence of family and hearth. The words themselves are dissolving, becoming rhythm more than meaning, a lullaby of familiar sounds, home, rest, warmth, peace, home, rest, warmth, peace, repeated like the seasons, like the tides, like the turning of the endless sky above Iceland's vast and dreaming landscape. There is nothing left to do now, nothing to remember, nothing to hold. Only this descent into softness, into the gentle cradle of the night. The skald's voice continues, but softer still, speaking now of morning. Not tomorrow's morning, but the memory of mornings, the promise of mornings. Mornings that will come in their own time, gentle and unhurried, when the first gray light finds its way through the gaps in the door, when the roosters stir and the sheep begin to move on the hillsides, when smoke rises once more from the longhouse roof and the world remembers its colors. But that is far away, so far away, separated from this moment by the vast and comfortable ocean of the night, by hours and hours of deep, restorative darkness where nothing is required of you, where you are held and kept and allowed to simply be. The skald speaks of the land sleeping beneath its blanket of night, the valleys and the fjords, the mountains standing silent against the stars, the rivers moving quietly toward the sea, everything resting, everything surrendering to this sacred time between dusk and dawn. And you are part of this, woven into this landscape of sleep, your breathing synchronized with the breathing of the land itself, rising and falling like slow waves, like the ancient rhythms that have moved through this place since long before the settlers came, since before there were longhouses or hearths or stories told by firelight. The turf walls around you hold the warmth, hold the darkness, hold the silence like cupped hands around a candle flame, protecting this space from the vastness outside, making it small enough, safe enough, warm enough for the deepest rest. You can feel the bench beneath you, smooth wood worn by generations of bodies, and the weight of wool blankets woven by hands that knew this work, that understood the necessity of warmth in the long Icelandic nights. Every detail conspires towards sleep, the temperature of the air, the quality of the darkness, the distant sound of settling coals, the rhythm of the skald's voice growing slower, slower, the spaces between words expanding like the spaces between breaths, like the spaces between thoughts as the mind releases its hold on the day and drifts into the formless country of dreams. Now the stories are no longer stories at all, but simply sounds, syllables arranged like stones along a path leading deeper into silence. The skald speaks of sleep itself, the way it arrives like fog rolling in from the ocean, soft and complete, obscuring everything that came before, wrapping the world in gentle forgetting. Sleep that tastes like honeymead, like warm milk, like the first snow melting on the tongue. Sleep that feels like sinking into moss, into feathers, into the earth's patient embrace. The fire makes its small sounds, a whisper of ash, the settling of a coal, and these sounds are perfect, are everything, are the only music needed for this moment. Outside, the stars wheel in their ancient patterns, the same stars that guided the settlers across the ocean, the same stars that will watch over this valley through the long winter, patient and distant and eternal. But you do not need to think of stars or valleys or anything beyond the simple fact of your own breathing, the rise and fall of your chest, the steady, reliable rhythm that continues without your attention, your body's ancient knowledge of how to rest, how to restore, how to surrender to the healing darkness. The skald's words are dissolving into the darkness like salt into water, becoming part of the air you breathe, part of the warmth that surrounds you. Home, rest, safe, warm, sleep, peace, home, rest. The words are seeds planted in the soil of silence, and they will grow while you sleep, will become dreams or not dreams, will simply be there like the walls, like the fire, like the blankets and the breathing and the beautiful, merciful dark. There is nothing to fear, nothing to guard against. The night is your ally, your companion, your oldest friend. It asks only that you release your hold on waking, that you trust the ancient covenant between body and darkness, between exhaustion and rest, between the day's end and the deep, deep peace that waits for you just beyond the threshold of consciousness, just beyond this moment, just beyond, just beyond. Breathing, just breathing. The sound of it fills the longhouse like the sound of waves on a distant shore, rhythmic and endless. Each breath a small journey from the world to somewhere deeper. Each exhale a release, a letting go, a small surrender that becomes easier with each repetition. The skald is silent now, or perhaps still speaking in a voice so soft it cannot be separated from the wind, from the settling of the longhouse, from your own thoughts as they grow slower and less distinct, blurring at the edges like watercolors running together, beautiful and formless and requiring nothing of you. You are held, completely held, by the bench beneath you, by the wool around you, by the walls and the roof and the sleeping bodies of your companions, by the land itself. This ancient island of fire and ice that has learned over countless centuries how to shelter life in the midst of wilderness, how to offer warmth in the heart of cold, how to make home at the edge of the world. And you are home, so deeply home. Not just in this longhouse, but in this body, this breath, this moment of perfect rest where nothing is lacking, nothing is needed. Everything required for peace is already here, has always been here, will always be here. The fire glows without light now, or perhaps your eyes are closed, have been closed, will remain closed. It doesn't matter. The warmth continues, the safety continues. The darkness is a blanket more complete than any weaving, tucking itself around every corner of awareness, every small place where worry might hide, filling everything with its soft, absolute peace. Sleep comes not as a visitor, but as a recognition, the realization that you have already been asleep, are already dreaming, have already surrendered to the night's gentle sovereignty. The boundary between waking and sleeping dissolves like morning mist, and you slip from one state to another without noticing, without marking the moment, simply breathing your way into deeper rest, deeper peace, deeper into the endless, bottomless well of the night, where you are safe, are held, are home. Warmth, darkness, breathing, rest. The words have lost their edges now, becoming feelings instead of sounds, becoming the simple facts of this moment. The weight of sleep pulling you down like gravity, like the tide, like the gentlest hand on your shoulder, guiding you toward the pillows, toward the darkness, toward the deep and dreamless place where the body does its secret work of healing, of restoring, of preparing for mornings that will come in their own time, unhurried and kind. There is nothing left of the story now, nothing left of the skald's voice, only the wind outside, the settling coals, the breathing of the sleepers, and your own breath joining this chorus, this ancient song of rest that has been sung in this place for generations, in longhouses just like this one, beside fires just like this one, by people seeking exactly what you seek now: peace, rest, release from the day's demands, the sweet forgetting that allows the body to renew itself in darkness. And you are forgetting. Forgetting the story, forgetting the skald, forgetting even this longhouse and the valley beyond and the island itself. All of it dissolving into the simple sensation of warmth and weight and the soft, endless rhythm of breathing that continues even as awareness fades, that will continue through the night, faithful and steady, carrying you through the dark hours toward morning without any effort on your part, without any vigilance or attention, simply doing what breath has always done, keeping the body alive while the mind rests, holding you in existence while you voyage through the vast and starless country of deep sleep. And there is only sleep now, only this, only the final letting go, only the last gentle descent into silence where even these words cannot follow, where nothing follows except the peace that passes understanding, the rest that requires nothing, the darkness that heals everything, everything, everything. Sleep, rest, peace, home, sleep, sleep, sleep. Thank you for listening tonight. If this story helped you drift off, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more calming stories. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you next time.